Disney shares led the Dow today after an upgrade from Morgan Stanley on excitement over its direct-to-consumer product. Joining us now to discuss the media landscape is former Walt Disney CEO Michael Eisner. He was chairman and CEO for 21 years. He now runs Tornante company, which produces shows, amongst other things, for Netflix and Amazon. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, your company does a lot of things, invests in a wide range of areas, but it would be good to start with the shows you are producing. On Netflix, one of them, one is about to come on Amazon. Is that a sign of the times? Was the demand from them just way higher than the traditional broadcasters?
Well, they're another source for content creators. When Netflix changed from sending to you by mail and started to stream, we got very involved with them. We made a show called BoJack Horseman, which I think is a pretty good show. We just put on a show from the same group called Tuca and Birdie. We have a show at Amazon, A&E. Whoever wants us, we'll go.
It used to be so simple, though, with streaming, and now there are so many choices and an increasing number of choices on the way. Is there such a thing as too many choices? Is this going to get as expensive as cable?
I never thought it was simple when I was one of 3 network buyers. Now I'm thinking how fantastic it was. You know, you got everything was presented to you. You had 2 competitors. You had 30% of the audience. If you had less than 30%, you got canceled. It's a different world. It's a great world. It's great for content creators. It's great for the consumer. It's revolutionary. It's no more revolutionary than going from radio to movies to television to video to Blu-ray to cable. It's just the next technological version of still trying to come up with something that makes you laugh or cry or be interested.
Does that mean, I mean, there's a growing sense on Wall Street that people are giving Walt Disney credit, the company credit, for being best positioned in this world among the traditional media companies just because of the brand, the intellectual property is in-house. But this idea that Netflix, with a few $1 billion a year, can create a virtual library pretty quickly, it would suggest it's not that easy. So if you were back at Disney, would you feel well-positioned or not?
Well, we always like getting credit, so whether we deserved it or not,
yeah.
It was always good. Yeah, Disney, you know, I went there in '84, sure. And everybody talked about how it was going to end, and it wasn't going to end because it had these great legacy, family-oriented products, which we helped recreate. Disney has a great legacy. Bob Iger, following me, has done a great job putting Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars in their vocabulary, buying Fox. Forget how much they paid for all these things. It gives them an advantage. I would say Netflix, being the first mover, is not to be discarded. Amazon is not to be discarded. Apple, we just are about to make a big content deal with Apple at Tornante. They're not to be discarded. AT&T with the Warner Library is not to be discarded. And then there are many others. There are too many others. There will be blood on the floor. It may take 5 years to find out who they are. But right now the enthusiasm is spreading like wildfire. And a lot of people are benefiting from it. And some people are worried about what will happen.
When you look at the options to the traditional media companies, do you think the move that Fox has made makes sense? Pull out of creating entertainment content, focus on live news and sport? And is it kind of an either-or option, or do you think many players like Disney are going to be able to do a little bit of everything?
Well, you can have 2 winners, 3 winners. You can have 2 losers. It's not all yes or no. There could be 2 yeses. I think Bob Iger strategically has done a good job. But never underestimate Rupert Murdoch. He's, in my opinion, the giant winner. He is, first of all, taken a lot of money off the table, solved, I think, some of his family issues. I don't mean emotional, psychiatric issues. I mean economic issues. He has kept his news. He's kept his network. I think broadcast is going to remain, just like movie theaters are still here. I'm not so sure about cable. Sorry, but the broadcasters have local strength in each market. They have must carry, which means they have to be carried by government. There will be some losers, but I think most of the players will be here in the end of the day.
Are you suggesting Disney paid a little bit too much for Fox?
As a real supporter of Disney and happy about $141 a share as it closed today, I'm not unhappy about anything about Disney. And if I was, I wouldn't tell you.
What about the streaming strategy? I mean, increasingly it looks like this fight between Netflix and Disney Plus at the moment. You were an early investor in Netflix, produced shows for Netflix. What do you think is going to be the toughest job for Bob Iger in taking on Netflix?
I think always the toughest job is the content play, creating new content. Netflix has a great library, but now without the ability to find library product from others, it's about their new content. Disney has a great library, as we all know. It's going to be about finding new content. So whether it's Ted Sarandos or Bob Iger or Warner Brothers or Fox or anybody else, the end of the day, it's House of Cards. That's what helped make Netflix. Yes, having the library of Disney, the library of Nickelodeon, the libraries around town got them started. They're all going away. It's all going to be about new product and their own library.
What about Hulu? Now that Disney is in control of Hulu, they can really take it global, but it is going to be an investment, right? They have to look more at local content and a higher cost of capital. How would you play this?
The trifecta of Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu seems to me a strong sales proposition in various ways to sell it. The economics are, how do I say this? Insane. Now, they were insane when we spent $19 billion to buy Capital Cities ABC. Everybody, that was the largest acquisition in history. I walked around the block 4 times before I had the guts to walk up into the offices of ABC and say, okay, that was insane. Buying Fox sounded insane. Keeping your content away from other suppliers sounds insane. Spending $10 billion a year or whatever Netflix is spending per year sounds insane. I don't know. Insanity seems to pass and reasonableness seems to take over.
I wanted to ask a little bit about some of the big tech companies, like Google, with YouTube clearly directly competes with the media companies. Do you think the playing field at the moment is a little unfair, and that the bigger tech companies either need to be broken up for antitrust reasons or face more regulation in a way that a news organization would on traditional media?
I don't think it's unfair. And if you're talking about creating content, streaming, and all that, these are new players. They're learning very quickly. They've hired a lot of people that have been in the industry. Google is a fantastic service which should not be broken up, in my opinion. I don't like when Google gets into a conflict where if you type in plumber, the first thing that comes up is a plumber that they own. I think that is something that I would be concerned about. That is an unfair tactic. Maybe taking 30% of every transaction in certain things is an unfair tactic. But Google in itself is we all live on Google. I would not try to destroy Facebook or Google or Amazon. They are great consumer products.
You mentioned that you'll be doing a deal with Apple. What is Apple's advantage? You know, what is their play in content that they've kind of waited so long to move ahead with?
Well, I don't know. What was that movie where Show Me the Money?
Yeah, so that's one.
That's
maybe that's it.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
They got a lot of money. They're smart. They got taste. I don't know whether because they haven't Jerry Maguire. Thank you.
Yeah.
They haven't announced exactly how they can distribute. Amazon smartly created Prime. They distribute through Prime. I'm told by the highest level at Amazon that has increased the number of people that buy things on Amazon. Somebody told me a rumor that Apple may, if you have Apple TV, and Apple TV is behind Roku, is behind Fire from Amazon, and you'll get your programming free to the consumer if you take Apple TV. That's not stupid. I don't know if they're doing it. I heard that from a cab driver, I think, so that's probably true.
It's probably spot on.
Probably right on, yes.
Do you think that an Alphabet or an Apple or a Google will make a play for a traditional media company? Feels like people have been sort of waiting on the sidelines for that to happen and haven't really seen it yet.
I don't know. I recommended to somebody early on to buy Netflix, and it was a bargain, and they did.
Who did you tell to buy Netflix?
Well, other than my wife, I can't say. I myself could have bought Marvel for so much less, but I didn't. In the end, it's not what you don't do, it's what you do. That sounds terrible, right? At any event, I don't know. They have the wherewithal, and maybe Apple, if they don't succeed with us with the product we're doing and others, they may find the best use of their capital is to buy one of the, maybe not Disney, I mean, that would be ridiculous, but some other content player that would be.
Well, 5 years ago, nobody said, oh, AT&T is obviously going to pay $85 billion for Time Warner, right? I mean, that was.
I would have said that yesterday, but it seems to have happened.
They did it, yeah.
Who do you think might replace Bob Iger at Disney eventually?
I don't know.
Insider, outsider?
It's always better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. I'm a big believer in insider. By far, he was my choice at Disney. I've discussed it with Bob. I don't think he knows yet, or he hasn't told me. I think he's got some great candidates, and I think the board is looking everywhere.
When you discussed it with him, did you get a sense of how many years left he's got in the tank? How much longer he wants to stay on?
I don't think he knows. I mean, look, he's a fantastic guy. He's got a great job. He's got a great family. He's making a lot of money. I think he's chosen not to run for the President of the United States. I think he should stay longer. I think the shareholders would like him to stay longer.
I was going to ask why you think he hasn't groomed a successor, an obvious one.
Well, you added the word obvious, meaning obvious to you. I'm not sure.
How many times has he said he's going to retire?
Well, so did, I don't know, Liberace or
you stayed on for a while, I guess.
I know. I mean, you know, that's okay.
Michael, Abigail Disney said that Mr. Iger's pay, $65 million, was too high relative to the median pay of the company's employees. Data by Equilar said it was over 1,000 times the multiple. Do you agree that things are getting a bit stretched, not in the absolute term, in the relative to all those great employees that deliver for him every day?
Look, my view on this, if a employee, whether he is the CEO or less, actually does something that has an impact on the company, I mean a major impact, which Bob has had, I think he deserves to be paid well. What I object to is the employees, CEO or otherwise, that just ride a wave, that don't do anything, that are part of a stock option plan that results in multi-millions of dollars, not for performance. I think you pay for performance. The issue about the rest of the universe is, I believe in a higher minimum wage. I believe in, I think people that have done well should pay taxes. And these are two separate issues. They really are.
I wanted to ask finally about Portsmouth Football Club.
Now you're getting to the meat.
Yeah, absolutely. And so was this because you're a fan, that you're there for the long term, because you believe, though?
To be clear, we're talking about soccer, right?
We are talking about Pompey Football Club is their shorthand.
With his accent, he's talking about football.
Exactly.
You're talking about soccer.
Is this because you believe in the value of sports rights? You like the club? It's a hobby? What's behind it?
Well, you've put out about 11 possibilities. It's very simple. In the new world, which we've been discussing, that one thing that is appointment viewing that's left is sports, live sports. News is now a commodity, not so much when Trump is around, but after he goes, it'll go back to being sort of a commodity. Everything else is, you just go to Netflix. If you have sports, you light up the Christmas tree for Sky TV, for ESPN, for whomever else wants to follow it. So I thought the best thing for me to be involved with, other than my television shows and other things, would be sports. And then I looked at the world. I thought it was too expensive in the US. I thought American football had its problems. International football was worldwide. And then we looked around the world and discovered Portsmouth, UK.
There we go. Well, we'll see if Pompey get back into the Premier League. I'm sure it's a hope for you. Michael Eisner, it's been a real pleasure having you with us. Thank you for your
very
time.
much. Thank you.
I think your real claim to fame, though, is your CNBC show conversation.
I agree.
With Michael
That was
Eisner.
the most fun. That was the most
More
fun.
fun than being CEO of Disney.
For sure.
He knows where he is.
Michael, thanks for joining us.